Yes, it does, and we are recording.
All
Okay,
right,
John.
we can start the call. Michelle, it's
Awesome.
all
Yay!
yours.
Welcome, everybody. It is July 31st, 2018. I cannot believe it, you guys. It's going to be Christmas before we know it. But I'm so excited that you guys have all taken your time to get on our Heat Team weekly call. Chris and Nikki Cotton are the leaders of the Heat organization, and they've been doing this for a number of years. And we have just an amazing team that plans girls. We have a if you could mute everybody, that would be fantastic.
So, Michelle, I just muted everybody, which includes you and Billy. So the two of you will have to unmute yourselves.
Okay, perfect. So I'm Michelle Grensing. I live in Tennessee. I'm one of the Heat Team National Marketing Directors. And I have the just true honor tonight to bring to you somebody who touched my heart so deeply at this last conference when he was up on stage giving his new National Marketing Director speech, and then recently was just in Nashville at the Next Gen event and did it again. And I'm so excited that you all get to hear him. His name is Billy Leonard, and he is from Georgia, and he is an incredible father of 2 little girls and recently a new puppy, which I've learned, which I think is super exciting as well. And he is going to share his story, so I'm not going to share too much. I would love for you to just go ahead and get started, Billy, so that we can get ready to listen.
Okay. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Chris and Nikki, for letting me be on. Thank you, everybody else, for joining us. It's going to be a fun time. We're just going to share our hearts, and we'll just see how it leads us. So let me start from the beginning, which was 23 years ago when I was 17 years old. And my mom, who was a fitness instructor, brought home these bottles that look very different from they look today, but they were red and green capsules inside of them. And I was 17, and she said, "You have to take these." She set them out every morning. I took them, and I'm very glad that I did, because during high school for years, I had the worst acne that you can imagine. I don't know if you can see my skin clearly enough now, but I went through 2 rounds of, back then, what was, I think, a prescription drug called Accutane. Right away, when I got on Juice Plus, I could tell, because I looked closely every day, because it really mattered to me as a teenager, that my skin was getting better. And over 3, 4, 5 months, whatever it was, my skin cleared up, and I really should have pock marks on my face now, but I don't. And we know now, of course, that Juice Plus helps increase the thickness or the density of the skin, increases the circulation and the blood flow, which carries the nutrients. So it's like, oh wow, look, this is this incredible connection. So the second thing that happened was I have seasonal allergies, and I used to get shots twice a week, every week, for these. And it's been 20 something years since I've had to do that. Maybe I'll take a Claritin a couple of times a year, maybe not, but for the most part, that's cleared up. And then my biggest thing, Michelle mentioned that I have 2 daughters. I actually have 3, but unfortunately, the oldest one doesn't get much press, because it's the 2 youngest ones that have an undiagnosed genetic condition, and still undiagnosed. They're part of the National Institutes of Health Undiagnosed Diseases Network. So, I mean, like, they're studying my 2 youngest daughters' skin cells and muscle cells and everything else in 4 or 5 different institutes across the country. But the big deal is that one symptom is they have very weak and small bodies, and doctors have said they should have gone through the flu multiple times in a year, pneumonia multiple times in their lifetime. I say they've had the flu twice in their life. They say they've had the flu once in their life. They've never had pneumonia. One of them sleeps with a ventilator, like a BiPAP, and an oxygen machine, has a shaky vest. If you know anything about cystic fibrosis, she doesn't have cystic fibrosis, but that's one of the symptoms. So it's just incredible that their immune systems are so strong. And the reason why I completely believe is that since they were 8 months old, and really in utero, right? But since they're 8 months old, we've been opening the capsules, putting them in their baby food, and just imagine flooding their little bodies with all their other challenges, but flooding their bodies with 30 fruits, vegetables, and berries. One of them's 12 years old, one of them's 9 years old since they were 8 months old. So it makes a difference. And that's a big reason why I'm so passionate about sharing Juice Plus that can make a difference in people's health. But 7 years ago, I decided to start very intentionally building a business with Juice Plus. Prior to that, I was in corporate America, and I was working 80 to 100 hours a week. And truly, I didn't know it at that time. I know now in retrospect. There's so much we learn in retrospect. But back then, I realize now that I was working that much from a place of fear. I've got 3 daughters, 2 with special needs, and I really felt the weight of the world on my shoulders to provide for them. But truly, what I personally have learned is that I wasn't really serving them. I think I was serving my own fear, if that makes sense. And of course, my story might not be yours, but it's something to consider. Every day I believe we wake up and we can either serve fear or we can serve love. And fear is a master that really makes us look inward and look in on ourselves and evaluate everything and everybody around us based on how they're looking at us or what they might say to us or how they're going to impact us. And really, we become the center of the world. But if we're serving love, love is a very good master, because love says, okay, let's look out. And, I don't know what I'm going to get out of it. I'm not really concerned about what I'm going to get out of it. Frankly, to some degree, I'm not even that concerned how much it might cost me to love someone, because I'm actually much more excited about going and giving something away. And we can make that very practical, of course, for our Juice Plus business. But before I get too far ahead, what I will say is, in those first 2 years of trying to build this juice, I'd come out of corporate America, climbing the ladder. Some people have heard me say the line before, God, can I help me realize that my family was serving my career goal? And he said, no, you really need a career that serves your family goal. And I promise, when I did kind of hear that in my heart, I guess you could say, it did make me stop. I don't remember exactly where I was, but I feel like I remember the moment and how I felt. And I was just like, that's so true. I always thought that I was, working so hard every day and running out of gas at the end of the day and just exhausted and, all the weight of the world on my shoulders for them. But really, they've given up so much for me, and really only because I'm afraid. And so we said, we want to find a career that will allow us, if nothing else, for me to spend more time with them. And of course, especially because they have medical needs and need me to be there to take them to the doctor and different things like that, to do that as well. So my first 2 years of building my Juice Plus business, we got to QNMD in less than 2 years. I think it was 23 months. But anyway, we got to QNMD fairly quickly, especially back then, and for a guy, I think. And the interesting thing is, when I got to QNMD, I was like, I was excited, but it wasn't like I'd reached the top of a mountain or everything was fulfilled or, oh my goodness, this is incredible. And once again, as I look back, I think part of the reason why is because I realized I had scraped and clawed everybody I knew 100 times each. It's like, they're either never going to talk to me again, or fine, they've broken down and they'll do something with me. The poor Billy, who knows what? I don't know. But you can, I learned, at least for me, I can scrape and claw and work my tail off and get to a certain level. But what I then realized when my business essentially became stagnant and even took some big dips and a little bit of jumps and mainly stagnant for a few years after that QNMD, was, at least for me, and you might consider this for you, if you are at a place where you're wanting to see more, but it's been difficult to kind of break through, is there's only so far I could go being driven by fear. There's only so far I could go being driven by trying to achieve and accomplish and check off the boxes and build the structure and earn the points. And I'm not downplaying or talking down to that language that we do have in our business, but I'm going to try to shift the perspective on how we talk about it in just a second. So I'm sitting there for these few years, and at that point, I was not making that much money for it to be a full-time income, but we were living extremely frugally, and that's mainly what I was doing for income. And I started to question. I was like, God, is this, is this what it seemed to be going well for a while, but now it's not. And what in the world do you want me to do? And probably a lot of us have been there. And at some point in there, God really said, you sound like, Billy, that you're doing everything for yourself again. You really sound like you're saying, why won't you work it out for me? And what I started to realize was there was a couple things going on. I was still scared. I still felt like I needed to provide for everybody, and I had to succeed. And I was still scared. My second fear is, well, what people would think or say about me. I was worried, oh my goodness, I'd left corporate America. I had been to business school, all this kind of stuff. And if I come in here and fail at something, especially something so different or unique, for a guy and maybe in my background, what is it going to look like? I didn't sleep a lot at night. Okay. It was very challenging. I'm just going to be real with you here. And he said, what if there's something greater than everything that you've just been wrapped up in? What if there's something greater than yourself? What if there's something greater than just doing life to get to a certain structure and volume and check off a list and, or even earn a certain income? And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But it's really hard every day when you've got to pay the bills to think about anything else. But he invited me to this. And so at the beginning of 2016, he really said, just focus on love. Focus on receiving love and giving love in every engagement and every interaction, every moment. And he said to me, you will never be more than the love you give in this moment, which just meant in every individual moment. There's no moment after, and the past is the past. So you'll never be more. You never achieve more. You'll never feel more full, right? No one's ever going to recognize you as something greater than the love you give in this moment. Whatever you're hungry for, whatever you deeply desire, it'll never be more than the love you give in this moment to the person in front of you. So in the sense of that truth, the 59 people that are on here, this is, technology makes it very cool to be able to love 59 people at one time, right? But really, you guys, whoever's actually still listening to me, and I appreciate that. The amount of love that I pour out to you in this moment, the amount of focus that I give and attention that I give to you in this moment, right? If we just kind of settle down for a second, if I settle down for a second, I'm the one talking, right? And I just go, oh my goodness, Jeanette, Susan, this is the only ones I can see. Michelle, Billy, Joni, did I get that right? And then I won't go to the rest of them, I can't see. But you matter so much. Like if I just pause on you, Susan Sobolewski, I can't say your name, I'm sorry. Yay. Yeah, if I just pause on you and I just go, wow, you're incredible. I don't know your life story, but look, there you are right there. And you must have an incredible life story. You must have deep passion inside of you, right? And you must have dreams, and you must have, so much that you've done in life and accomplished in life, and so much that you want to do. And hello, that's why you're on here. And I see you, there's nothing greater that I can do or be in this moment than seeing you. And now I'm going to tear up, but it's like, oh yeah, okay, this is it. This is everything. And then guess what? I get to bring along Juice Plus with it. So that was 2016. And then 2017, a lot of you have heard this story too, but this was a big moment for me to kind of confirm and solidify, oh wow, this is real. So my middle daughter had spine surgery. So, and there's a number of kids who have spine surgery and put the titanium rods in down along the spine and screw in, I think, the titanium screws and all that kind of stuff. But it was at a younger age than usual, and she had some other issues. So most kids might be in the hospital, let's say 3 days, the step down, and then the regular unit 3 to 4. She was in the ICU for 9 days, and then the step down unit for one more. And she had a breathing tube. So here's the story. When, right after the surgery, I was the first one to go into the room. I go and she's lying in. You don't necessarily have to have that, or maybe you'll have that initially, get it out pretty soon. But she had fluid on her lungs and in her lungs. And especially as you've heard, for someone like her, that's not good. The doctor said that was pretty rare for him, but that's not good, especially for her. So she has a breathing tube in her throat. She's still recovering from the anesthesia. So I just walk over to her, take up her little hand. And I hadn't, I wasn't thinking this at the time, but if you think back on just that scene of me just looking down at my daughter lying there, not able to move very well, breathing tube in her throat. Once again, I am never going to be more than the love I gave her. And, in that moment in life, the whole pursuit of NMD, right? The whole pursuit of whatever the heck we're pursuing, the fear that's been chasing us towards all these other things. There might be a fear in that moment, but the fear of pursuing all these other things really becomes quiet or non-existent, because there's something much more precious and important in that moment. And the love that I would give her in that moment, I would never be more than that. And here's what's incredible and that I learned. So I pick up her hand, and she opens her eyes and she sees me, and I say, "Hey, Savannah, everything's going to be okay. And I love you." And so I'm going to go get your mom. So I go to her door to leave, and I, get ready to open the door. But I look back I was just going to kind of wave, and she's just so weak. I'm figuring she's going to be still back to sleep or something. But she's looking at me, and when I look back, lifts her hands over her chest, is just lying there, and makes a heart. And then she points at me, this 11-year-old girl, super skinny, like she was 38 pounds when she went into the surgery.
I figured when I saw
getting some feedback. I don't know if anybody else can hear the feedback.
Somebody needs to meet, please.
I am reading it. What?
I don't know. I'm being weird.
Yeah.
Can the host mute?
All right.
Gonna mute
Dennis,
again.
ready for you.
Michelle, did Nikki make you the host?
Okay.
I got it. I'm out. I'm good. Thank you. So anyway, she points at me and she says, "I love you." And I just think about an 11-year-old, 38 pounds at the time, straining with all her might to let me know that she loves me. Right? It wasn't about her in that moment. And she realized that that if she could have one message, if she could communicate one thing, if she could do one thing in that moment, it would be to say that she loves me. And I don't know about in that moment, but certainly after that moment, as I just kind of thought about it, I was like, that is the most powerful thing she could have done in my life. And this is the most powerful thing I could do in anybody else's life. And why not, whatever happens to my business, why not just make that the core thing of what I do every day and just take Juice Plus along with it. And so that was 2017. And then in the last year, and this is when we reached NMD a few months ago, really what it's become with our team is, and here's one of our little mantras: let's, instead of trying to create and put together the structure that is required to achieve the position, why don't we build a community that becomes the position? So instead of trying to fashion together the structure that achieves and crosses over that line to the position, what if we said, you know what, we're going to go out and love really well today, and what we're taking with us in kind of a tangible form of that love it's fruits and vegetables and capsules, it's smoothie powders, it's Tower Gardens. And I'm not kidding, because those, going back to Susan, Susan, you happen to be the one right in front of me tonight. But going back to Susan, I don't know Susan's story, but before she found out about Juice Plus, she didn't have Juice Plus, and if I share with Susan, if I was the one to share with Susan, maybe she would never know the difference. I don't know. But I could share with her, and she could hear it for the first time from a person who's coming from a place of fear, but, with a smile on, fake it till you make it, and I really do care. It's not that I don't care, but I also care very much internally and driven for, my personal goals. Or I can just see Susan and I can go, oh my goodness, I've got something that is going to so bless your life. And if you decide to share it with your family and people lives, and man, just the domino effect of blessing that is going to happen just potentially just because, I go out of my way and step out of my fear and just, live from love to share with you could be incredible. I mean, just the lives that could be impacted is incredible. And I don't know if my pay line is going to go up, and I don't know if you're ever going to become anything for me. But I know I've got this valuable gift, and it's really just a tangible object of my love in me for you. And I can't do anything other than just at least offer it to you with all that I have, so hopefully it blesses you. So that's how we would ideally share our product, and how we would share our businesses to say, you don't have to say community of love to everybody. You don't have to freak people out. Okay. You can have a kind of first introduction to this idea, but I'll just wrap up and maybe have a couple minutes for questions by saying this. I recently did a kind of it was another guy and me, but then we shared it because he was saying from a guy's perspective, what do you do? And at the end of the day, what God put in my heart, at least my bottom line, was to say, there's a lot more women in this business, and there's probably a good reason that we could get into that. And for men, in terms of men, a lot of times it's chiropractors or personal trainers, but as you can tell, I am none of that. But what about just for a regular guy? Well, I think the answer just applies to everybody. What God has kind of revealed to me, and that is this: if we can know, and this is a scary thing to go and find out, but hold God's hand and go do it. If we can know who we are, who we're made to be, and then we can go, this is me, authentic, vulnerable, and seeing Susan there. Oh my gosh, Susan, I'm sorry. But, seeing Susan there and going, you're a child of God. You're a human being. Me too. I hope if nothing else after this, you get that I am like smiling at you because I think you're incredible, because I think you're wonderful, because I think you're a beautiful person, And so anyway, if we will know who we are and share our genuine, authentic selves, in such a way that doesn't freak people out. I get it. Have some balance. But that will be unique. I mean, there's, I think Chris said this at Next Gen, you're the only you, so shine bright, live from a place of love, and don't hesitate to share what we have with the world, because that could be the greatest form of love you are able to give to a lot of people that you encounter. Thank you.
Wow. I mean, go out and love really well every day. I mean, that's a universal saying, feeling, action that really anybody can choose to do. And so freeing. Did you guys just feel like so lifted up and free and powerful and just ready to just go out and love on people? So Billy, thank you so much for, just sharing, like you said, so authentically and real, and hearing a little bit more about your background was really helpful as well. And we can take a few questions. We have 4 minutes. So if somebody has a question, you need to click unmute and you need to ask that question right now. Anybody?
Beth, are you trying? Beth Levin? No. Okay. Chris thought you were.
Okay.
But if I needed help unmute anybody. Billy, I just want to say this is Nikki, and of course we saw you at Next Gen. We saw you when you delivered your NMD speech. And it's interesting when you say, you know, we don't want to go out and freak the community. You know, we need to do this. We don't have to announce exactly how we're doing it. We just have to be that. And I just really want to really say how much I appreciate that, because for some people, it's difficult to hear the word God involved. But the bottom line is, if you are coming from love, people feel, see, hear, know, sense. And I think that's really the place where you were saying we don't have to scare people, but we do come from that place of love. And I just really want to honor the way in which you presented that every time I've heard you.
Yeah, I want to echo that too, Billy, because third time we've heard the message and it's so well delivered from you. There's just no improving on it because it's coming from pure love. So thank you for being you and bringing it.
Yes, thank you so much. We've got lots of people over here on the side. I hope you see that. I hope you see that, Billy. Really, it's such a gift to have you share with our team. It is recorded. We'll get you the recording, so you'll have that as well. And thank all of you for coming on here and giving your time, because remember, what is it? How is it? You will never be more than the love that you can give to the person in front of you. So there you go.
All right.
Woo!